Good afternoon, everyone. This is April Garner, Network founder, and thank you so much for joining me this afternoon here on the Network Live. We come to you every Friday at 4 p.m. to talk to you about things that are going on in the world of medicine. Of course, my sidekick, Dr. Winston McIver Jr., is not on the screen, which means that he is not joining me today only because he actually has a lot of other duties and responsibilities. And one of his primary obligations is to work as the primary team doctor for Coastal Carolina University. And they just boarded a flight and they're headed to a game. And so Dr. Mack has entrusted the COVID-19 updates to his partner and sidekick. And I promise you, I am not going to be able to deliver it as poignantly as he will. And of course, with the medical knowledge or backing that he has, but I will be able to give you some great information about what is going on in COVID land, as we have called it for the past 31 weeks. So yes, we have been giving you COVID-19 updates. And of course, this month of October, we were doing Dr. Mack's Medical Minutes, where we were highlighting different types of cancers this month. And I don't have a medical minute highlight today, but I do have the COVID-19 updates that I will share with all of you. But I also have some cameo appearances by some of our special guests from around the community, some people that I've asked to be a part of this broadcast today for a number of reasons. We've got some young entrepreneurs and business owners who just launched a brand new nonprofit, and we're going to hear more about them. You probably already have a hint or a clue of who that may be. And so we'll be hearing from Kenya Keith and Coach Ben Collins of Rivertown Wrestling. And I'm so excited for them. It's a new facility on Highway 378. They're going to be talking to us a little bit. I also have Micaiah Frazier, who is just a brilliant personality, and she is the daughter of Marlo and Michael Frazier, and of course the granddaughter of the late great James R. Frazier. And so she's actually going to be joining me as we talk about why your vote counts and why it is so important for us to get out and vote. We've got so many opportunities over the next couple of days. I think at this point we're 4 days away from the actual election, and it's so important that everyone exercises their right to vote. You have your beliefs, you have your values, you have your perspectives on a lot of different issues and a lot of different causes and things that impact society. And of course, society is made up of more than just one group of individuals. And because of that reason, as Americans and as patriots, we are all supposed to watch out for one another and make sure that the people who are considered to be your lower and middle incomers are also getting as many opportunities and rights and respects as those who are in the upper echelons. And so whenever you are exercising your right to vote, you should really have America in mind. And we found that, during this election, there are record numbers of voters who are showing up for different reasons because they have different beliefs and different causes, different values, and I won't go into all of that to politicize, things in terms of, what we know and what we all believe. But what I will say is that this democratic process is probably the most important democratic process in the history of our country, and for a number of reasons. And so I've invited some young people to talk about why it's important to them. One of the young persons that hopefully will be able to join us is new to the Network Live team. As I said, I'm trying to build a team. And, she actually was a part of our summer literacy program, and she is not of voting age just yet, but she is going to share with us some of her insights on why it's important for everyone to vote, not only for our immediate future, but for her future. Because at 14 years old, the things that happen on November the 3rd are going to impact her greatly. And so she's going to join us. We also have someone from the community who I always call an icon, and was also instrumental in pulling together the summer literacy program that my intern is a part of. And she's going to talk to us and kind of help kick off an introduction to what's going to happen on the Whittemore Community Magazine Live on Monday night at 7 p.m. I'm actually a host on that show as well. That show is actually the brainchild of Brother Edward McQueen, who is the publisher of the Whittemore Community Magazine. And so I have been co-hosting the radio show, which is now live stream over the past 5 years with him. And, the Whittemore Community Magazine was in partnership with some other community individuals and pulled together a summer literacy program. And we're going to showcase some of the young people who were part of that program and have them talk about their experience as we studied the book Ghost Boys over the summer. And so we've got a number of things going on, and I just hope that you all will just sit back and relax and, take in what we're saying. Please make sure that you are a part of this live stream by giving me your comments and your questions, and we'll answer them as best we can. I'll answer them as best I can. You can ask them of the guests. Make sure that you share this to your timelines, because I think that what we're going to hear today is going to be some empowering information, and we definitely want to make sure that we give everyone a chance to comment and actually become a part of this process. So what I'm going to do, it looks like we, have everyone in studio. So I'm going to hold off on the COVID-19 updates and kind of pull that in towards the end. And we're going to go ahead and get into the guests for right now. And that way we can, as I think about it, maybe I should just go ahead with COVID so that we could spend more time talking about the voting process. Look, it's my show. I can change it when I want to. So what I'm going to do is pull up a slide deck. As you know, Dr. Mack and I always have a slide deck each week. And again, I'm just going to share with you what we see on the graph and attempt to make him proud and relay some of the information that he wanted me to relay to you. If you have any questions, please make sure that you post them in the comments, because of course, he'll be able to see this thread afterwards and will be able to share that information. So let me pull the slide deck up. I also want to give a special shout out to the designer of the t-shirt that I'm wearing. I think that it was appropriate for me to wear this today. Peace, love, and vote. And so thank you so much to Shayla Livingston out of the North Myrtle Beach area. Her business is Diva Lux Designs, and she is a member of the network, a good friend of mine. She's doing some great things in the community, educating people on how to prepare for the workforce as far as her work is concerned. But then she also has Diva Lux Designs, a Black-owned, women-owned business. And so thank you so much, Shayla. I appreciate it. Love the shirt. And if anybody actually know Shayla or wants to purchase a shirt like this or any of her designs, just visit her Facebook page and she'll be more than happy to help you. So I'm going to pull up my slide deck real quick, and then we'll get right into the COVID-19 updates. And again, I'm just going to share this information as Dr. McIver has instructed, and then we'll kind of take it from there. So what we see on the very first slide is just an indicator of what's happening with new COVID-19 cases, and this is in the United States. So as you can see, for 4 days during this month, we're still in the month of October. It doesn't go out until tomorrow, and tomorrow, of course, is Halloween. But we've had already 4 days in the past 7 days. So in the past week, we've had 4 days that were recorded as the highest number of reported single day cases in the United States. And what that means is when you look at this graph, October 29th, which was yesterday, there were 87,164 reported new cases of COVID in the United States. And again, as I was talking to Dr. Mack, I said, so are you telling me that this number represents all of COVID, since March or since April when we all went into quarantine? And he says, yes, this is, the number. And so this is indicative of what is actually happening in the United States, what's happening with our COVID cases, that they are going up. So that takes us into this slide here that we always show every week, which is the COVID in the U.S. map and case count. So the cases have gone up by 42% over the past 14 days. And so that's a 42% change in the number of cases. And as you can see, as far as the number of, and I hope you can see that. Let me see. It looks like I don't know if it's dark or not. Can you see that? If so, will somebody let me know that you can see the slides? You should be able to see the slides. I think the first one showed up. I'm not sure about the second. It looks like it's not on screen. Might be a delay. Oh, okay, there we go. So the 14-day change in cases and deaths, 42%. There's been a 42% increases in cases, and this is the U.S. count. And there is an indication, of course, that the cases are going up. I mean, a 42% change. That's an incredible amount. As you can see on the graph, the tail end, as Dr. Mack always points out, is going upward, which means the case counts is going upward. There has also been a 16% change in the number of deaths in the United States. And that death rate is something that we have to keep watching because, of course, that indicates what is happening in terms of the outcomes when it comes down to COVID. On this next slide, we have something called a positivity rate, which, of course, relates to the number of positive cases of COVID that are reported or that are tested or found through testing. And as far as I've been educated on the matter, the positivity rate typically should be somewhere in the 3% to 5% range. And these are the just 5 cities in the United States, which are showing the highest 7-day positivity rate in the United States. So South Dakota at 46.23%, Idaho over 35%, Iowa over 28%. And, what this is telling us is that, there's testing, they're finding that there are more positivity cases, which means that there are pockets of cases or populations of people in these cities and probably other cities throughout the United States where these positivity rates are very, very high. And so these are the 5 of the cities right now that have the highest 7-day positivity rate in the United States. New reported deaths by day in the United States. As you can see on this graph, it's that tail right there on the end is kind of curling up, which means that the deaths are actually going up in the United States. And again, a very telltale sign based upon the previous graphs that we still have a major problem with COVID-19. So in South Carolina, what you see is that, and again, it looks like maybe the slides are catching up. Let's see. I just want to make sure you all are seeing it because I'm just kind of going through it and there we go. Okay. So for South Carolina, 14-day numbers. So in the past 2 weeks, the cases in South Carolina have gone up 12%. The number of deaths have gone up 44%. And hospitalizations are up 3% in the last 14 days. And so, what that's telling us as well is that, yes, South Carolina still has a major problem. We are testing, and we're seeing that there are, cases that are rising, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, we're testing and we're getting new cases. The bigger picture is that we're testing and we're finding that there are pockets everywhere in South Carolina where these numbers are actually climbing. And so an increase in testing, they're testing and they're finding that there are more cases, but really what we should be concerned about is the fact that where there's more cases and the fact that the numbers are going up means that there's spread. There's something that is happening in South Carolina with COVID that we need to be aware of. And with a 12% increase over the past 14 days, and as Dr. Mack has said before, it's now bumping up against cold and flu season. We're probably going to see a major shift in those numbers, as we move along. So testing is happening, but the point that he also wanted me to make is that we're still under testing. So that number could very well be a lot higher if we were testing at a very robust rate, but because we're not testing as much, that's still, I guess I don't want to call it a back burner issue, but it's still something that has not been pushed as much as it was at the height of COVID and the beginning of COVID. We're seeing some indication that, there is a new wave that is happening, but we're still under testing. So we really don't know what the implications are in terms of the numbers. And then with this next graph, again, new reported cases, as you can see, it's tailing up. And so that's definitely an area that we need to be concerned about, you know, because of the fact that there are all of these new reported cases. One thing that is probably happening as far as, reports that we're seeing, articles that we're reading, is that, the precautions that we're supposed to take need to definitely still be in place. Because as the cases are going up, it does not mean we need to relax our standards. That it doesn't make sense to relax our standards. We just got to make sure that we stay masked up, that we're continuing the social distancing, and also that we are washing our hands and following all of the necessary protocols as indicated. Here's a slide that basically shows the number of reported deaths. And over the course of this particular and again, this is all South Carolina. So everything you're seeing after that South Carolina map and case count relates to South Carolina. We still have, new deaths that are being reported. And this one actually shows you the reported specimens tested. And this is, of course, in South Carolina. And with the specimen tests, again, yes, there's more testing happening, but there's still under testing that is happening. So we got to make sure that if at all possible, anyone who thinks that they've been exposed and or may have, come in contact with someone with COVID, that they get tested and that they seek out, places where they can be tested. And I believe that you can go to the DHEC website to find out where those testing locations are if you're looking for that particular information. And so the last slide I have, of course, it just kind of reinforces the information about the hospitalization rates and the fact that, we are seeing that it's if you can see the tail end of this graph here, that it is curling up, which means that, we still have a major problem with the testing and with the number of cases and deaths with COVID, period. So once again, Dr. Mack typically gives us other stats and information, and I didn't feel comfortable trying to relay that type of information to you, but the graphs and charts are basically the facts. And so letting you all know each week what is going on can give you a perspective on how we need to continue moving forward with how we behave during this COVID pandemic. We're still in a pandemic, and that is why we have to make sure, especially with this huge this election that's coming up. And if you've been paying attention to what's been going on at the voter registration office and also at the other locations that are accepting in-person absentee voting, the lines are long and wrapped around the buildings. And, people are in line. From what I could see, there wasn't a whole lot of social distancing happening. It could vary from time to time during the day. But, there were people who were wearing masks. And of course, we're going to have people who are just sticklers for not wearing masks. And that's all the more reason why we have to protect ourselves and make sure that we're following all of the protocols, because based upon this information that Dr. Mack has provided us today, yes, we still have a COVID problem. It's a very real problem. People are getting sick and they are dying. And we've got to do our part to make sure that we flatten that curve and start to get rid of this particular problem. So that's the COVID update for the day. And with that being said, if there are any questions that you have, again, please drop them into the thread so that, Dr. Matt can see those questions, and he will always go back and respond as much as possible to give you more information. And of course, hopefully he'll be back next week. Hopefully there's not a game next week and he can give us more details about what's happening. And, that should definitely, thank you so much. That should definitely give us, some light, whether it's light at the end of the tunnel or just light that we can use to navigate our way through this situation. Dr. Mack does a fine job every single week, and I certainly don't hold a candle to him, not with the degrees from Morehouse and Meharry. I don't have that kind of clout, but I thank him for entrusting me with the information that he shared with me, within like a 15-minute time span as he was trying to get onto the plane. So anyway, what I want to go into next, of course, as I said before, we do have a couple of special guests. And before we start talking about, the voting piece. I wanted to bring on a couple of people who I think need some recognition, and also, are just doing big things in the community. And of course, when I bring them on, I do want them to talk about their endeavors and everything. And I also want them to give a very encouraging message to voters as far as, what they need to do to be a part of this democratic process. So at this point, I'm going to bring on Kenya Keith and Coach Ben Collins. How are you doing? You might be muted. I think, Kenya, you're muted. Ben, you're muted.
I'm doing good.
Okay, I can hear you. Yeah, I hear you both. How are you doing? All right, great. It's good to see you. Of course, Kenya has he's been on the radio show before, and I know this is a little different with it being live stream, but you all are clear. You sound good, and I just want to say congratulations, Rivertown Wrestling. You did it. Yes. You did it. You did it. And your wife Nina, she actually provided me with an excellent article that I'm going to post to the networkconnects.com, and I'll also post it to the network group. And it's amazing. I love the story behind, how this all came to be. So Kenya, I'm gonna start with you. Why don't you, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then also get into, how Rivertown Wrestling came to be.
Okay, well, yeah. I am King Keith. I like to start out the story by saying I'm one of I am the last state champion at Conway High. So that kind of helps a lot whenever you're trying to train other kids to be wrestlers. And so I use that term a lot. But I did wrestle for Conway High back in 97, 95, 96, that range, along with Coach Ben Collins here, who is the founder of Rivertown Wrestling. At this point, I'm gonna kind of let him go in and let him tell you the beginning part of it first, and then I can come back in afterwards.
Sounds good. Okay, Ben.
I don't really know what to say. We started Rivertown several years back. I was helping coach with the varsity wrestling team there at the high school, and we noticed there was a big problem with having to teach basics to kids every year. And I always related it kind of like to the baseball team. If you could imagine having a varsity baseball team go out and teach guys how to hold the bat and how to stand at the plate, it's not very good. And there's kids missing out on scholarships and missing out on college opportunities and missing on chances to succeed because they don't have the training that they needed. So we started off training. I started off with my son. He was 4 years old, and we started a program to teach these young kids, and kind of moved on. Then I was fortunate enough to recruit Kenya to take over for me because my kids were getting older. But my youngest son's in the 8th grade. My oldest one's a junior this year. And Kenya has taken over, and he's brought in KJ, and KJ, he's brought it to a whole nother level.
Yes.
Where I had 15 to 20 kids in the room, and we were working, and Austin was he was state qualifier his sophomore year, and he's he'll come into the season as a junior ranked probably top 5 in the state. Because of the training he had as a child. Like KJ, on the other hand, when he comes through, he's going to be a state champion as a freshman. I mean, he's just incredible. He's already nationally ranked because of what Kenya has done. I really, really, really love what Kenya's doing with the program.
It is amazing what KJ. I see little KJ, but he's strong like the Hulk. I mean, he's an amazing, and give everybody his physical stats, because I'm telling you, you don't underestimate him. He's bad to the bone.
Right now, KJ has been wrestling since he was 4. He just turned 9, so he's wrestling five years, and in 5 years, his record right now is 218 with 20 losses. All right. Wow. Those 20 losses came from probably only about 5 of them came within the state. The other 15 is he was in some other state. All right. So yeah, I tell people I think he lost really 3 of them in South Carolina in 5 years. He lost about 3 matches. The other ones come from that. So he has broken, as of now, he's broken every wrestling record in the history of Puerto Rico.
That is absolutely amazing. How tall is he? How much does he weigh?
He is.
Is he there? You can bring him onto the screen. I want everybody to see him.
he's about 3 feet, I guess, a little 3.5,
Yeah.
maybe. And then he weighs 56 pounds at 9 years old. So yeah, he
Wow.
started wrestling. He was 4 years old. He weighed 28 pounds when he started wrestling.
28 pounds when he started wrestling.
28 pounds. So I encourage people. I see a lot of people saying, "Well, my son is only 3 years old and he weighs 30 pounds." I say, "Well, at least he's bigger than my son was when he was at 4."
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we start him at 4, but I mean, we seeing it now. A lot of people bringing him at 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only sport they can get their little kid in. Everything else, I think, starts from like 5 years or older. You know, the rugby sports and whatnot.
All right. So the two of you opened Rivertown Wrestling as a nonprofit, a 501c3. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Why'd you
we
go that
did.
route?
Well, we went that route because I, I guess just off experience, when you're going out asking people for money and donations and funding and all this stuff, I just felt like it was easier if they knew it was a nonprofit, that money is based off, going strictly to the kids and everything they're doing, or everything to help build them up and not going into the coach's pockets or anybody else's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
That was my, kind of take on it. But we're taking the credit for it, but Nina, my wife did all the work for that.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah, she's amazing as well, and it's great to have that support system. So, where is the new facility located?
It is located in 1909, Rice Boulevard. That is right off of 378.
So as you make that, I think it's as you make that left turn into Smith Jones Recreation Center and Rose Haven Community. Okay, right. You can't miss it. It's
Yeah,
on the
right
left
on the
hand side.
corner, right,
Yeah.
right on the. If you drive outside of Smith Jones, it's the building. It's only those row buildings right
Blue
there.
buildings there. Yeah. And you have your signage up now.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So Ben, what do you want the community to know as far as the type of support that you and Kenya need to do what you have to do?
Well, our program reaches out to less fortunate kids. I mean, that's what wrestling's all about. It's giving everybody an equal opportunity. There's no politics in wrestling. Wrestling, you go out, you compete, you stand where you stand, and that's just all there is to it. But a lot of times, one of the things that hurts us the most is that kid's not able to participate. It costs, especially when you start traveling every weekend, going to tournaments all the time. There is an expense that's occurred. So when you live in a low budget family or a low budget home and you're not able to pay to go to these tournaments, pay for shoes, pay for uniforms, and you feel like you're left out. So one of the big things that I could see where a sponsorship really helps is sponsoring some of these kids and paying their way, helping them afford to be able to go to these tournaments. I mean, Rivertown, we went in and we bought a van so we can take the kids out on trips and stuff and get them to these tournaments so the parents don't have to travel and spend all the money on gas and everything else. But there's still an expense that has to come, for Rivertown that we've got to cover. Any kind of sponsorship like that would help. Plus, this new facility, as exciting and as it is to have it, this is a dream. I told Kenya when he started, I said, "Man, this has been my dream. I'm so glad that you're seeing this come to place. I'm so excited, but at the same time, it's a little scary because now we got payments, we got rent, we got we have drained our account with doing repairs and building this facility to get it to where it's convenient for everything. So any kind of sponsor could help in any way. And if you were wanting to know what we do, we're nonprofit, so everything's open. I mean, it's not. I don't have control. Kenya doesn't have control. We vote as a board. Everything's got accountability. Everybody steps in. Everybody says, "Hey, this is a good place," and everything's accounted for. So it's not like we're taking your money and sticking it in our pockets. Everything's being invested right back into these kids and these kids' futures.
You're absolutely right. And, and as a parent, and even what we were talking about as far as KJ, that there's integrity behind what you do, and you are, really putting a lot of time and energy into grooming. And are there just young men, or are there young girls who are in wrestling as well?
Well, we have both.
Really?
I think the youngest one we had last year was my niece, Nevaeh. She was 3 years old. She didn't weigh. I mean, the weight class started at 35 pounds. She was like maybe 26 pounds, 27 pounds.
I'm losing your sound, Kenya.
One of the big things one of the big things this year that Kenya is probably fixing to tell you about, we've actually inquired a girls coach this year.
Right.
So Kylie
Oh,
Dean,
wow. Yeah.
Kylie Dean, she's another nationally ranked girl who's wrestled all over the nation. Very, very wonderful story if you get to know her and know her story and her past. But she has actually joined up with us this year, and she is going to be a girls. She's a female women's coach that's going to kind of be able to open that up to the girls wrestling world.
Right.
That's incredible. So, again, congratulations, Rivertown Wrestling on Highway 378. You cannot miss it. Brand new facility, a new nonprofit. They need your support. If anyone wants to make a donation, how can they get a donation to you? Do you have a website or any information that you can share today?
We've been using Cash App, and it's real easy. It's capital R Rivertown and W, so Rivertown W. And pretty much we have a PayPal account, which I have to get Nina to tell you that real quick.
Well, I tell you what, why don't you, when you get that information, send it to me and I'll make sure it's posted posted around the videos, and we'll post it everywhere else and get that information out.
All right, that'll work.
Yeah, we'll do that. And there's one person who's already hit me up and says that you've got their support. So I'm sure you'll be hearing I'm sure you'll be hearing from her soon. Okay. But anyway, so is there anything else you want to say about your mission at Rivertown Wrestling before we actually get into the messages that I want you to share with the community about the importance of voting?
You go ahead, Ben.
Oh, you throw it over on me. Okay. We act as parents to these kids. A lot of times, I'm big in my church. Kenya's big in his church. We always try to do devotions with the kids, kind of introduce them to a better life, give them ambition, give them hope for tomorrow. We spend a lot of time, coaching these kids and we spend a lot of time with these kids. Most of the time I get off work at 5 o'clock. I run straight to the wrestling room. We leave the wrestling room 8, 9 o'clock at night. Then we're with them all day on a tournament on Saturday. We're having to be like the kids' dads. Even though I'm not their dad by no means, but I'm buying them lunch, I'm buying them dinner, making sure they got their stuff taken care of. We're with them all the time. And really the big thing about wrestling is it gives them, it sets goals. It lets them see that goals are accomplishable, that they can do whatever they put their mind to. They can become anything that they want, and giving them confidence, knowing that they can achieve anything. They just got to set the goal and go for it. And they don't have to settle for where they are. They can set their goal as hard as they're willing to work to get it.
And that's an awesome message to instill in their young little minds. And what better way to build up their confidence than to actually build up their physical strength, and to do that with young males and young females. And I love it. So I wish you all the luck with Rivertown Wrestling, and I know it's already blessed. So I know that it's going to be powerful in the community. And again, can't let you leave today without giving us just a little quick encouraging word to voters. Why do they need to get out and vote? What do they need to do?
Hey, if you want change, you have to vote. All right. And I'm saying it because I got to go vote a little bit later. So, me and my wife and my 2 daughters are finally getting to vote for the first time this year. So,
wow.
They're excited about it. I'm excited about them, and they want to see change, and that's just the best way to do it. So we're going in a group. So we taking people, grab people with you,
making it a family thing. Yeah,
that's
family
right.
affair. That's awesome.
That's right.
That is awesome. So, how about you, Ben? I'm sure the sentiment is the same.
That's your voice in the community.
That's right.
That's I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Just that's your voice.
That's your voice. That's right. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. Your voice, your vote. Okay. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you being here. And again, don't forget to send me the information on how people can donate. And there's already some remarks about wanting to help you out. And I'll make sure that I get that information to the persons who've already commented, and share other information with the rest of the community as well.
Okay. Thank you, April.
All right. You're welcome. Have a good one.
All right.
Okay. All right. So that was Ben Collins and Kenya Keith, Rivertown Wrestling. Very nice facility on Highway 378. And so gonna move on, and this time I'm gonna bring in my new intern. Yes, yes, yes. I'm so excited to have her on my team, and I'm trying to grow the team. There's a couple of things that I'm trying to do with the network and with this platform. And of course, I put a message in our network group that if anyone is interested in helping to be sort of like correspondents, I guess, within their communities to share information about what's going on, especially with Black-owned businesses, get in touch with me. I would love to have you, be a part of the team, but also, community events and anything that is happening that we need to know about and that we can bring into this broadcast on Fridays. Please make sure you get in touch with me. And so I'm going to bring in Miss Layla Brumel, and also I'm going to bring in Mrs. Marjorie McIver, the icon. I absolutely adore both of these people. They are just beautiful souls, beautiful spirits. Now, Layla, you're going to have to turn some lights on so that everybody can see your beautiful face. I am telling you. Yeah, work that out. But Miss McIver, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm just wonderful. It's just so good to be here, and especially looking at our younger icon, because she
Yes.
taught us quite a bit during the summer.
Hey,
She really did. Hey, Layla, how are you?
good.
All right. It's so good to see you. We've been talking and chatting, and I've been trying to get her assignments together and everything. And I'm going to let her tell her, a little bit about herself. And then once we do that, she doesn't know it, but Ms. Mack and I decided that we're going to show a little something that she put together for the summer literacy program. And this will actually show you all how special the program was for these young people. Remember, and we'll talk more about the book, but we had young people, two groups, ages 8 to 12 and then 13 to 17, and they read this book, Ghost Boys, and then they came back with their perspectives on the themes that were in the book. And we'll talk a little bit more about what the central themes were for that book. And we challenge anyone to get the book. It's like $7 on Amazon, and read it and take it in. The entire story is from the vantage point of a 12-year-old. And so, again, Layla was one of the participants this summer. And so why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and also your aspirations for the future?
Okay, so can you hear me good?
Yeah, you're good. Looks
Okay.
good.
So I'm Layla Bromel, and I'm 14. I'm from Loris High School. I do cheer, I sing, do track, and for the future, I aspire to be a lawyer. So that's what I'm working on. I have a lot of family in that field, so I'm already preparing, getting my track set. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at 14.
I was so impressed when she told me that when I interviewed her to be my intern. And I said, you have a plan at 14? Most 14-year-olds are just enjoying high school, junior high or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I mean, I have a plan. This is my goal. And I think it's wonderful. And of course, Miss McIver, please introduce yourself to everyone.
Well, I think everyone knows me by now, April.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm Marjorie McIver. I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina, but I've been here so long that folks think that I'm just homegrown, Conwayite. But either way, I've certainly enjoyed everything, every moment that I've had in Conway. And my forte is working with young people.
Mm-hmm.
I could care less in some instances about some things, but what's priority in my life are the children, because I've just got a vested interest in them. And this project that we've worked on this summer has been, I guess, would be a godsend, because not only did it open us up to being inclusive with a wide variety of young people that came in from different parts of the state and out of this, outside of the state
Mm-hmm.
of South Carolina. So being inclusive, we were able to get a perspective of this book, Ghost Boys, from various perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that was a blessing too.
It absolutely was. So before we go any further, about the book and what the program was all about and what we're going to be doing Monday night, I'm going to go ahead and show the clip, for Layla's clip, and look at her. And you should be proud of the work. It was very good work, and of course,
It
Layla,
was.
yes, she will be a part of the youth panel on Monday night on the Whittemore Community Magazine. So everyone, sit back and enjoy.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the fight is won, and we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, oh, glory.
The Inside Scoop. Black woman shot and killed in her own home. Tatiana Jefferson. Miss Jefferson was shot and killed in her home in Miami, Florida. Officer Aaron Dean, shown below, shot her through the window in front of her nephew. The officer resigned and was later charged with murder. Now the war is not over. Victory isn't won, and we'll fight on to the finish. And when it's all done, we'll cry glory, oh glory, oh glory. We'll cry glory, oh glory, oh glory. One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day, when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory.
It stirs my soul every single time.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Beautiful.
It was
Beautiful.
beautiful. So, Layla, without giving away everything that you're going to share on Monday night, what did it mean for you to create a project like that? Why did you do it with song and with images?
Well, I wanted to do it with song and images because I know that song is a really good song to tie with everything we was doing. So I used the pictures to show, like George Floyd, all the things that's going on in the world, Breonna Taylor, the riots, just everything. So they can have a visual aspect of everything that's going on. And to hear my voice and just it'll tie together so well.
And you're
It
right.
did.
You're right. It did tie together well. And so you are not of voting age. You're only 14. But of course, you're a very conscious 14-year-old, and you see what's going on. You are listening to, the different perspectives, and I'm sure that there's some things that you're probably feeling in your own little world. What would you want the community to know, or the communities who are watching this broadcast today? What do you want them to know about why this voting process is so important, even though you're not a voting age? Why is it important to you?
Well, I know everybody has a lot of views. Like, my best friend doesn't even agree with my view, but at the end of the day, we had to be like, okay, just because you go for this person, it don't mean that you have the same concept as a person. Like, you're that person. And like the president now, I feel as though he's a bully. He uses verbal abuse. He mocks people. So I feel like this is really important, especially for the Black community, because we used to couldn't vote. Women used to couldn't vote. So we got to, now that we can vote, we need to get in there and vote for change. Like that man said earlier, there's going to be no change if we don't vote. So, yeah.
Exactly. And we talked about it just briefly because I said, even though you can't vote right now, everything that happens with this election will impact even your life.
Right.
There's you have another 4 years or so before you can legally vote. and yet things that are happening now. As a matter of fact, I guess you should be ready to vote in the next election, but after this one. But it's just amazing because even things that are happening from a Supreme Court standpoint, policies, bills, laws, things that are passed, they all affect you. And so that's why there's such and not just you, but like you said, you have peers who may even have a different perspective, but the things that are happening will affect them as well. So it's good that you all are having these conversations now,
Mhm.
and that how to still, remain cordial with one another and remain friends, even in, with the differences that you all have in opinions and perspectives. And so, Ms. McIver, I know that that's something that you're smiling, and I know that that's something that resonates high with you as far as what she said.
It sure does. And to hear it coming from someone so young, I can appreciate that. Um, but here's what I believe. I've participated in the demonstrations of the 60s, and I demonstrated so that we could have the right to vote. And I'm so aware of what this 15th Amendment says about, the constitutional right to vote, and regardless of, race, creed, color, or whatever. But here today, we still have to convince people to use that right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for some people. And then for others, it's just an uphill battle to actually be able to vote, and to vote comfortably, to vote in a setting that would be non-threatening. So when I think about those two things and all of the struggles, because back in the 60s, we went door to door. We knocked on doors, we tried to encourage, and it was not a good time for young people to go out. But my parents said that we could go out and participate. We can demonstrate in the marches under one condition. And that one condition was that we had to go to school every day, because we were protesting so heavily during that time. Folks were boycotting schools as well.
Mm.
But our parents said, you have to go to school. Even though many times that we walked in the building, we were able to walk right back out because there was nobody else there.
Right.
But the condition for us demonstrating was that we had to go to school. So when I look at the vote today, I'm not doing this for me. I'm not doing it for me, because I have a vested interest in young people and in their education, in the opportunities that we had to fight for, that now it looks like we're still fighting for those same rights. That vested interest that I have when I casted my votes, I don't know if you could see my sticker, but I voted already.
Very good.
And I voted for the future, and that's our young people.
Absolutely. So, Layla, I know that you have a very busy schedule, but definitely wanted to introduce you to the world, so to say, to the network, and to show everyone that, we have to recognize young talent and put them to work early. That's how we groom them to become future leaders. And, she's an aspiring lawyer, so you never know what she's going to get, excuse me, from this experience. And I think that I'm very fortunate to have her on my team. She's handling some tasks for me, and that basically will help to just lift her strengths. I'm asking her what she wants to do, and she's already given me insight on a lot of things. Even at 14, and we need those young eyes and young minds to help us understand how we need to create things for that appeal to them. So, Layla, just thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And thank you, Ms. McIver, for supporting my intern. I really do appreciate that as well. And so I want us to make sure that we let everyone know what's going to happen on Monday night. So, Ms. McIver, do you want to kind of explain that?
Okay, on Monday night, we have selected some of the young people who participated in that summer literacy initiative. We had 25 young people in the age 13 through 17, and we had 10 in the age group of 8 to 12. And those young people were asked to participate in creating some activities, coming up with some projects that they could use to present to us and to the community at large, which you will see on Monday night. These projects involved oral communication, written communication, and a digital piece. And as you witnessed a few minutes ago, Layla's presentation certainly fulfilled all of the criteria that we put forth for the completion of this project. And because we were partnered with the Whittemore Community Magazine, we offered monetary incentives for the young people. They didn't know. They didn't know what they were going to get. And I think it was well worth the effort on their part based on the responses that they gave back to us. It was well worth their participating. And I do want to say that, and Layla shared some of it, that, and April did as well. This project using the book Ghost Boys was one that fit in very well, tied in with what was happening not only in different states, but across all across the country and in places throughout the world. We saw a merging of various cultures, denominations, age groups that came together in response to what they were seeing. We weren't actually using this book to talk about police brutality in
Correct.
itself.
Correct.
This book was to make our young people aware of and giving them an opportunity to decide how they would respond. What kind of changes would they want to see in their communities that would make life better? So we weren't just dealing with police brutality. That wasn't the issue. In that book, we found elements of empathy, where in spite of a tragedy, there were people that empathized, even the family members of the person who did the killing.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw history throughout that book as well, as you looked at the other young victims that were presented in the book. And because we had such a large number of participants, we were able to get a broad spectrum. So Layla is one of the talents that you will see, and those that will be on to share with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would be remiss if you missed that opportunity to hear these young people. They were
Absolutely.
excellent.
They
And
were.
we certainly hope that you would tune in on Monday evening at 7 o'clock on the Whittemore Community Magazine to hear and to see and to share in their presentations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so again, as Ms. McIver said, lots of themes that we were dealing with, and some that were definitely relatable for the young participants. We even talked about bullying, and
Mhm.
that was happening with the characters in the book, and that's very real for young people. And so lots of things that in 4 weeks we allowed them to absorb and actually unpack, and then give us their take on what they learned from reading this book that was 200, less than 250
Mhm.
pages, and it's a captivating little story, and again, from the perspective of a 12-year-old ghost. And so if, again, I don't want to give away the book, I just want you all to get it and
Yeah,
support. And we have to thank your daughter, Miss McIver, Hannah McIver Sands, for introducing the book and the curriculum for the summer literacy program. It was excellent, and I think a testament to the impact that the program had on the young people who participated, we already have the, the youngsters asking, what's the next book? What are we going to read next? And, and I think that's great. That's what we want. That's what we want our young people to do, to get involved. And, there's so many people who are doing big things in literacy in the area, of course, Dr. Tracy Bailey and other people who are promoting literacy. And so as much as possible, get your young people involved in reading some good substantive literature that isn't one-sided rhetoric, and that gives them some really good perspectives that they can unpack themselves, and have those conversations with them as well, so that they will be able to navigate through the themes. And also, that's just a part of what we need to do as parents. We need to be a part of their learning process as they're trying to pick up on all of these societal issues and figure out how they're supposed to exist or coexist with all of these things that are going on. So thank you both so much. I appreciate you being on the show today. Layla, we'll see you Saturday.
And Miss April, I have just one reminder to the parents, as many of you that can get young people to watch those presentations on Monday night. I think you will be in for a real treat as to how these young persons who completed, not just started the project, but completed it, and the project, how involved and intense they were in that endeavor. So we want as many young people. I know it's 7 o'clock, but 7 o'clock is early for a lot of them. So we are asking parents to please tune in and also have your young children there as well.
Exactly. And it is the night before the election, so there's no school the next day, which made it very easy to have our young people on the show on Monday night. So yes, sit around and just, take it all in. And again, I thank you both for being with me this afternoon. Ms. Mack, Dr. Mack should have passed the COVID-19 updates over to you. So
not me. No, I stay in my lane, April.
Oh, I heard that.
Children and education. That's it.
That's it. All right. I got it. Okay. Well, thank you both. I appreciate it.
And vote, please.
Yes,
vote.
Please vote. Yes, please vote. Absolutely. So I'll see you both on Saturday.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. Thank you, Layla.
Thank you.
All right. And so now my final guest for the evening, I'm going to bring on Micaiah Frazier. How are you? Did I say your name right?
You did.
All right. I got it right. Yes. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Right. I'm great. And so first of all, thank you so much for hanging out with me today as well. Your mom is an early riser, and she was actually my wake-up call this morning. And out of a really short conversation, she kind of nudged me in the direction of including you in this conversation today. And it wasn't hard to do when she was telling me what your interests are and what you're currently working on. My thought was she would be great, to come in and have this conversation. So before we get into it, I want you to tell everyone a little bit about yourself. And of course, you got to give a shout out to your roots, who you're connected to, and what this community means to you. So go ahead.
Well, my name is Micaiah Frazier. I am a senior at Coastal Carolina University. I'm a political science major and a pre-law minor. Right now, I'm currently doing an internship at Battle Law Firm, and they are special prosecutors for the solicitor. And so we have cases representing the city and the county and other governmental agencies like that. And my parents are Michael and Marlo Frazier, and my grandpa was James R. Frazier, who was a councilman in Horry County.
Absolutely. And definitely an icon in the Bucksport community and in Horry County as well. And so your aspirations, what are your plans for the future?
Right now, it's very unsure, right? But I graduate in May, and I am going to take the LSAT and apply to law school to go from there. I'm not necessarily sure what I want to do yet, but kind of where I'm going next.
Well, law is a very big umbrella. I mean, there's so many different legs to it, so much you can do. And I'm sure as we think about, some of the things that we were just talking about with Layla and Ms. McIver, there's so many different issues or categories and sectors of law that you could possibly go into to fight just about anything or defend just about anything these days. You never know. We might be looking at a Supreme Court justice one day. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Okay. But the bottom line is, it's great that you are, studying political science. And I'm sure that means that you have a pretty good hold on what's happening right now in terms of our turn in democracy and what you've seen with different communities and citizens and perspectives and all kinds of things that just kind of have us, they either have us in an uproar or they have us cheering. There's so much that is going on right now that affects the democratic process. So as you think about what you've seen transpire in the past 4 years and what you believe is to come, what are some of the things that you think we need to focus on as we go to the polls to vote either for our next president or to reelect the current one? What are some of the things we need to think about?
I think we really, truly need to think about who will bring our country more together, and who do we believe that is going to help heal a lot of this tension, and definitely making sure knowing how to use your voice, knowing how to make your vote count. And this is an election, it's once in a lifetime. We will never have any other election like this, that it feels like it's just 2016 was a wake-up call, and then 2020 it feels like this is our choice. Like, do we want to keep going down this path, or do we want to change it now? What can we do to prevent whatever happens next? Because this is a make or break moment in history.
Absolutely. And what are some of the issues that are important to you?
To me, especially now, I don't think anyone expected to be in a pandemic, going through all this another uproar, the Black Lives Matter movement, or any type of political leader dying, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Just so much happened this year that we were not expecting. And so trying to remember what happened before this year, which is difficult, but also think, what can we do to prevent something like this from ever happening? So social justice, immigration, now more than ever, healthcare, something that I wasn't before now, and before I got in college, I didn't really see how that mattered to me, how that affected me, because I'm young. And now it's like, oh, okay, we are in a situation where we can be millions of dollars in debt in hospital bills, and that's just something that I believe can be prevented.
Absolutely. And as you think about how people appear to be, I guess, approaching the election and taking in the information, and there's so much information out there, there's campaign information, there's information from the media, there's what's being exchanged in communities and in households. As you think about some of the conversations that are probably taking place right now, what do you think is going to be the breaking point for us? Because I feel like we haven't reached a breaking point yet. A breaking point to me means that, things are going to just shift in a direction that is unlike what we're experiencing now. And I just don't know what the breaking point could be, or that would make people say, okay, yes, we got to drive in this lane for a little while because that road was pretty bumpy. So, what do you think it's going to be? How do you?
I feel like it's very difficult to determine because, like you said, you don't think we reached it yet. But every time we get to a new spot, it feels like, okay, this is the breaking point. And then something else happens, like, okay, this will be the breaking point. So it's kind of concerning because just like, okay, how much will it take for real change to happen, or for tensions to clash and something erupts? Like, it's very daunting not knowing, like, gosh, how much longer can this take? Because you think it'll happen eventually. And maybe it'll be after this election. Maybe it'll be midterms for 2022. Maybe it'll be the election after that. But I think right now it's just unsure. It's the breaking points when it's just going to boil over.
I guess, yeah, and hopefully, I pray that it does not come to that point. But you're right. I mean, I think everybody's kind of walking around now on boiling point, and there's no telling what is going to happen. But one thing is for sure: come November 4th, we will pretty much know what we have to deal with, from that moment forward. When you think about some of the things that are taking place within the Black community. And of course, for those of you who are watching who are not members of the Black community, I'm unapologetic about what I'm getting ready to ask, because our platform supports Black owned businesses, Black professionals, and we tend to bring information that is targeted to the Black community. But we open it up to everyone in order to create these conversations. So as you think about, some of the perspectives from some people in the Black community, particularly the entertainers, who have taken a stance on voting for one candidate over another, how does that make you feel?
I feel like it's very strange, especially now, seeing like Lil Wayne or like 50 Cent, or just anyone who would be considered a cultural staple in the Black community supporting Trump. It seems completely against their whole identity, which is, it's concerning, because it's like, were you really for us this whole time? Or it's like, how can you, it seems like an excuse to just support one of your rich friends to avoid paying taxes, honestly. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, that seems to be a lot of, what I see and read in conversations as well, that, their point of view seems to be taken in a very singular way, and that they're thinking more about themselves and not about, how the decisions have affected everyone in America, how they particularly have affected Black America. And, the one thing that was said within a conversation that I had with someone, I don't think we went into the Trump presidency thinking, it's just going to be just awful. We just didn't know what to expect, because, there was someone who stepped out of celebrity land and then all of a sudden is our president, the president of the United States. So if nothing else, I know that when President Obama was elected, we thought anything could happen. A Black man is now president. And then when Trump was elected, it was like, anything could happen. A celebrity is elected. And so now we're to this point where we have to examine what it means to elect certain people to the highest office in the land. The highest office in, aside from, I won't even say the universe, because the highest office in the universe is God, okay? But in the land, and put all our welfare, meaning everyone, thinking of all of us as Americans, putting our welfare in their hands. And what that means whenever we go to the polls and we think about who we are supposed to elect and entrust our well-being with. And it's just amazing to me how we kind of went from, one extreme to the next, and also the things that have kind of oozed out in this presidency. So you're right. We still are in a land of uncertainty, and, as far as expectations, not knowing what's next, because we feel like we've already been through some of the worst, and especially the worst with the pandemic. And I think, as people, we really want to know that we have someone in office, or that we're about to elect someone who has already reached that breaking point and has said, okay, yes, I get it. The country is divided. There's things I have to change, or the country is divided. There's things we have to change, and just do it, without there being any hidden agendas or anything like that. But, such is the game of politics as well. There's so much of that, and as as a political science major, what goes on behind these closed doors to make that machine turn. But I think when it comes down to thinking about how it affects humans being, and our livelihoods and our health, our future, it's something that we just cannot compromise. And which is the reason why we're not telling anybody who they should vote for. Everybody has their opinions about who they want to vote for. One community over another for various reasons. And, I try to hold this platform, as we do with the Whittemore Community Magazine. I try to hold this platform as a nonpartisan platform, but at the same time, I'm not gonna, be shy about saying that, what I see now is not what I want to see 4 years from now. And I think that, what we saw in the beauty of someone like a Layla Brumel, it's not what she deserves as she's, trying to grow and become, and, something, instrumental in the realm of what she aspires to become, and to have to deal with the things that are just so unsavory. So, I think if it wasn't for everything that is going on in terms of the racial tension, I believe that people could think a little bit more clearly. But race is such a big part of this, whether people want to believe it or not, or want to admit it or not. Race is a big, and I'm talking races in skin color, racism, racial issues, that type of thing. We're not having diversity and inclusion conversations for nothing. It's such a big part of it. And the fact that it's not being handled in the right way from the highest point in the land is one of those issues that, something that I have to look at. I have to look at the pandemic as an issue because of underlying health conditions and people that I care about who have underlying health conditions. I have to look at livelihood in terms of earnings and, financial support that is in jeopardy, healthcare that's in jeopardy, things of that. And I don't know why these things just don't shake people to the core, to the point where they would just say, okay, yeah, enough is enough. And, aside from what anybody has done, like we've said in the past 30 weeks, there is no perfect candidate. We have to look at the actions of those who are holding these positions now and compare it to what we really know that we need to move forward and unite in this country. And I think there's a lot left to be desired when it comes down to who we have to choose from, to be honest. But I think that when we look at what's in the left and the right hand, the choices can be particularly easy when we look at what progress has been made or has not been made over the 4 years. What we take inventory of what has actually occurred over the past 4 years and whether or not it has been healthy for America. And so, having said all that, what are young people in your within your generation? What are they saying? What's the conversation like?
Well, right now, I think it's very exciting because for most of us, this is our first presidential election that we can vote in. Our first major election would have been the 2018 midterms, but this is the first time where we can actually be like, wow, we cast our vote for the president. And I know I was really excited about that. But growing up with politics and social media, it creates more of like an echo chamber. So a lot of our generation, it seems as if like we have more of a, I guess, liberal feel towards politics. It's a little bit more extremist, some may say, which is why you see the rise in socialist movements like, Bernie Sanders and AOC, and a lot of the young people attaching to those movements. So, like I said, growing up in that echo chamber where you can control what political views you can see or who you want to surround yourself with, because sometimes you don't want to surround yourself with people of opposing views. So I think that creates a little bit more of a polarized view towards politics too.
Correct.
Which is a problem in my age group and amongst all age groups. So.
And I agree with you. I definitely agree with you because, a lot of what we see, even in terms of, the elements that cause the polarization, the racial insensitivity, that's coming out of households. That's not anything that somebody's just going to the store and picking up off of a shelf. That's somebody being raised to, have that perspective on another person because of, their ethnicity or what have you. And, those are the things that we have to fight. And in order to change the mindsets of people, if we're not teaching it the proper way in the schools, then we have to have those conversations throughout our communities and, within our homes. And people, unfortunately, people aren't open to having, some people aren't open to having those conversations because it's just easier for them to hate. It's just easier for them to be racist because it's just always the way that it's been, and that's a part of their heritage and all this other stuff. And I'll even put something out there that is just really interesting to me. And, it kind of goes back to something that we all can recognize, which is the Confederate flag. If I tell you that history, shows that this is what that flag symbolizes, and you want to debate it when that is the fact,
Yes.
then there's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with you, that you want to create a different definition other than what it is, and that you don't want to be sensitive to the fact that it offends me for that very reason. That says a lot about just the persons that you're dealing with. So you're right. We have the choice as to whether or not we want to surround ourselves with those types of people, or just totally, I guess, dismiss ourselves from those circles. And I have to admit, throughout this entire time, especially through COVID and all of the situations that we've had to deal with on top of COVID, I have reduced my friend list on Facebook significantly, because there's comments and posts and things that I just could not take
anymore.
I didn't deal with anymore. And it was healthy for me to do that. And I think that once we, moving into this election, there are going to be some things that unfortunately we won't be able to dismiss as easily, because I don't know that electing someone new is going to make things better, make the social climate better. There's actually reports that it may even become volatile and worse. I've been told that there are businesses that are shoring up because they think that there's going to be some like mass, militia uprising or whatever if Trump is not reelected, and they're, and vice versa. And to me, it's like, why is all this even necessary?
It's like, I think that really extreme view is so harmful and detrimental, because it's like, okay, if this happens and the world's going to explode. I think everyone thought World War III was going to happen when Trump got elected. And I mean, we are in a very terrible situation right now, but World War III didn't happen. So I think, one, you can't believe that just this one vote in this election is going to change everything. It's not. Because it's going to take time. There's a process. Getting the right people in office is what starts that process, though. So that is why it's important to vote. But you can't come in thinking that everything's going to change overnight, because that's just not how it works.
That's correct.
Participating in the political process, and then it can produce change.
And that's exactly right. So, even with whoever is elected or reelected or what have you, the evening of November 3rd, we still have a long way to go. And but the main thing that I wanted to do with our conversation today is just to kind of talk about, what's really real, and where we are in terms of the state of our communities and the state of America. And again, like Coach Collins said, your voice is your vote. Your vote is your voice. And if we don't honor those people who fought so hard for us to raise our voices to vote for change, then we're going to get more of what we cannot tolerate. We won't move into that realm of change for a very long time. And even if we do move into the realm of change, it's going to take even longer to undo the things that have, disrupted the fabric of our country. And so everyone, y'all need to turn over some rocks, open some doors, find people, make sure that they have been that they're registered to vote, and get them to the polls. Encourage them to go. The lines are very long, and I've been told that it appears to be one constituent group over another. In other words, yes, there appears to be a population of people who are showing up for early voting, and it's not the Black community. And so we need to make sure that we are showing up at the polls, that we are raising our voices, that we are casting our votes. And, there's a couple of things that I wanted to add to that in terms of some, protocol type things that people need to know. Saturday, you can still do absentee in-person voting on Saturday at the Horry County Voter Registration Office, which is in Conway. So it's Conway only for Saturday in-person absentee voting. And I believe it's from 9 to 1 p.m. When you go, be prepared to stand in a very long line, because there may be some people who are not going to be able to get off work or whatever and vote next week. They may be trying to get ahead of what they anticipate is to be large crowds on November the 3rd, but you can vote on tomorrow. So there's no excuse, none whatsoever. The other thing is, make sure that you take your ID or voter registration card, so that there's no reason to turn you away. Make sure you wear a mask. Make sure that you are practicing social distancing, even if there are people around you who aren't. You figure out how to do it, because we need to remain safe while we are voting as well. There are some individuals in the community who have offered to provide transportation to individuals who need a ride to the polls. You can call 843-397-5485, 843-397-5485, or 843-248-2492. That's 843-248-2492 if you need a ride to the polls. And someone will provide you with transportation. So again, no excuses. And, if you have young people in your household, just like Kenya and his family, they're all going to vote together. Get young people involved in the voting process. Even if they're not of voting age, take them with you so that they can, witness as much as they can throughout the voting process, and understand the importance of being a part of this wheel. Another thing, whenever you are doing the curbside voting, if you're taking someone for curbside voting, the person who is escorting the individual who needs curbside voting, please take their voting card inside and physically put it in the machine. So the advice is, do not hand it to a poll worker to put it in the machine. You physically put it in the machine so that it's going into the machine, and that the vote is going to be cast the proper way. And as I think about these things, there was one other person who posted today, make sure you understand your voting precinct and pay attention to what's going on at your voting precinct. Make sure that the machine is taking in your ballot, and that report that you get, that receipt that you get, that actually has all of the candidates that you are marking on your ballot, that is shown on that receipt before you put in that final vote. Make sure everything is accurate. It really is a shame that we have to put in these measures and implore people to do these things just as a system of checks and balances. We can't even trust to mail in our ballots, but it is the way of the world right now. It's the way of the country. And so again, my vote is for change. And you can interpret that any way you want. But at any rate, just wanted to let you know that I do appreciate you being here with me and just having this conversation. Hopefully it was enlightening for everyone who was listening. And I know that, this is a very sensitive time for everyone, because typically, we're taught not to even talk about politics in the realm of social engagement, especially at work. But you don't even have to talk politics to know politics, to recognize politics. And, that's kind of how it is. But I'm glad that you're engrossed in the democratic process, in the political process, and you understand it. And I wish you all the luck in the world with your endeavors, because we need people like you. Again, I'm looking at a future Supreme Court justice. I know I am. I absolutely know that I am. So, is there anything else that you want to leave with us, especially, to kind of, gear up the young people to get out and vote?
Guys, this is our chance to finally cast our vote and have it count towards President of the United States. So make sure you're getting out to vote. there's really no excuse for you not to vote in this election with all the accommodations that were made. And really, you don't want to think back and years from now, it's like, wow, I really should have voted in that election. You don't want to have any type of regrets, just knowing that you made your voice count.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me and taking this Friday afternoon to be with us. And again, I want to thank all of our other guests for being here. The cameo appearances were wonderful. I just want to shout out once more Miss Shayla Livingston of Diva Luxe Designs for this wonderful t-shirt that I'm wearing. You can check her out. She has a Facebook page for Diva Luxe Designs, and she has a lot of great things on there. So you want to, check it out. Order something from Shayla. Spend some money, okay? And as Bonnie Edie says, vote, vote, vote. That's absolutely right. Coretta Smalls, thank you for tuning in today. Yes, definitely helpful information and coming from everybody. And yes, you're representing CCU well. Very good. And Orton Bellamy posted that there's a health fair at the James R. Fraser Community Center on Saturday from 9 to 12. So, of course, you want to make sure to support. Go out and get your health screenings and all that good stuff. And I'm sure they're practicing, social protocols considering COVID-19. He also posted that in South Carolina, there are 1,080,000 registered African American voters. And I think I've read that correctly. South Carolina African American registered voters. And so we got to make sure that we show up and we show out at the polls. Because there's definitely some key races here in South Carolina, and one noted Jamie Harrison and versus Lindsey Graham, and then we have Tom Rice and Melissa Watson for Congress. Then our presidential races. We also have some, I even want to put this out there. There are some local races that we do not even have Democratic candidates participating in, and that needs to change. That there's, no one running, that these candidates are running unopposed. I don't care if which side it's on. There should always be, candidates representing from, as many parties as possible so that we have choices and, we have platforms that we can understand, because if we don't change even that dynamic, then yes, we're going to keep reelecting the same, the same old wheel. So, again, thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I hope that you all have a very safe weekend. It is Halloween weekend. So, and I don't know what's going on as far as, trunk or treating or trick or treating or whatever, but just please be safe. I believe that time rolls back. Maybe it's Saturday, 2 a.m. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Sunday. Somebody post that real quick if you know when time rolls back, but it is this weekend. And so we're going to fall back. We'll lose an hour. And I read something on social media the other day where they were like, oh, we don't need any more hours in 2020. but I don't know who can't use an extra hour of sleep here and there. So, but just be careful, everyone. Get out and vote. Tune in to the Whittemore Community Magazine on Monday evening at 7 p.m. It might even help you decide which way you need to vote on the 3rd. So really do appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. And thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Ms. McIver. I appreciate you. And everyone have a good evening.